welcome to the More Than Roommates podcast. I'm Dan, here with my roommate Graham.
What's up? What's up?
How are you doing?
I'm great.
Good.
Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, I did want to reintroduce ourselves because it's been a while. We're in the double digits of episodes, and we just hit 100 subscribers.
Yeah,
Woo-hoo!
that was our annual goal. Too,
Yeah, so
it feels good.
We
Yeah.
wanted to hit that in our first year of the channel, and so we're hitting that about 3 or 4 months in. So appreciate all the support. So for those of you who are new, we are a couple in the Midwest, and this podcast is all about just showing what a gay couple in the modern day kind of looks like, talking about our growth together as we grow in our careers and in the
home life,
Yeah.
everything, really, yeah.
So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, comment down below, let us know your thoughts on everything, and then go check out some of our other videos because we're kind of well into this podcast now.
Yeah, so what is this, episode 15?
Yeah, it's 14 or 15.
I think we already did 14.
Yeah.
I think we might be 15. Hopefully I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
You can roast me in the comments if I don't know what episode we're
I know.
on.
I'm surprised I don't know since I do all the editing. But so
Yeah.
today we wanted to talk about AI, artificial intelligence. So
Sweeping everything right now. It really seems like it's been like a looming topic for
Mhm.
like honestly decades. There have been so many movies about AI and like what people were envisioning happening with AI in the future, and it always ends up in some world ending devastation, I feel like. But now
even in
we're
the
like
yeah,
now we're just like we're getting right into it. It feels like it kind of like it didn't come up out of nowhere, but it feels like
in
it
the past
kinda,
few months it's just like really just popped up, and mainly my exposure to it is the Chat GTP. That was like my
Yeah.
first thought or like hearing of it recently in the past few months.
And
What
now like Snapchat has like a My AI or something.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, those are a
Um,
couple big ones.
Photoshop.
Oh,
So
yeah.
let's talk about like, so do you use AI at use Chat GTP or any of that stuff?
Do I use it
Yeah.
personally? I
Mhm.
mean, I started using it probably a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
Why spend like 30 minutes Googling stuff and opening articles and links? And I mean, if you can literally just sign up, ask it whatever you want to ask it.
Yeah.
And it seems to give a pretty good answer for most things you throw at it, like especially Chat GPT in particular.
It's
but-
crazy. And I'm kind of, normally when there's new stuff like this and new technology, people are apprehensive about it. I kind of embrace the new, like even with these home systems that you can talk to and they can do stuff. I'm all for it. People are like, oh, what if it what if they give up your secrets to the government? I'm like, let them take me away.
What am I? We're not hiding
Yeah,
anything.
So spice
Yeah.
up my life. That's a good story to tell. Let the
Yeah.
government. But so I think the people that are the pioneers that embrace these things and utilize them in their everyday life, because eventually it is going to. I mean, this is already just like everywhere to an extent. So
For sure. It's in corporations, a lot of machine learning, automation. I've gone to a lot of just kind of like not really workshops, but kind of video discussions of how it can be implemented, in the workplace too. So,
yeah,
and I've seen a lot of the things that interest me the most are probably from a medical perspective, like they're working on like nanotechnology
Mhm.
where small little particles can go into your body and fix whatever's wrong. I think
it's
it can.
crazy.
Yeah, supposedly, if you have like clogged arteries or whatever it might be, I know they're working on that too.
Yeah.
But
So in the way that I've used AI, I've used it a little bit for the YouTube channel. I've used it to have it come up with some of the titles or some of the captions, because you can ask it, I need in 150 characters do a description of this episode, and it's come up with some stuff. Like, of course, I fine tune it.
sure, yeah.
But lately too, with this Photoshop update, you can use Photoshop and say like highlight this person that's standing in the corner and say like remove person, and it does that. Or sometimes, like if you take a photo vertically and you need it to be like formatted in a different way, you can like have it just like fill in to make it like rectangular. It's just crazy.
Yeah, taking a lot of manual work away. I mean, isn't
Mhm.
that the whole point of AI?
And I
I
don't,
mean, that's what, when I think about AI, I think about like job aids and, benefit to human.
but do you think it's going to come for our jobs? Do you
It's a
think we're
good
going to?
question. Funny enough, so I follow, a lot of meme pages. I like to laugh in my free time
Yeah.
and in not my free time sometimes. And I follow this like accounting page, right? It's called like the Big Four Accountant, and they just post accounting memes. But a few weeks ago, they like let, I think, Chat GPT take the CPA exam, and it failed it quite a few times. I think it got like a 56%, but I think within like a couple of weeks it had passed
Wow.
to, which is just, I can't even imagine, it like I'm not a CPA. I'll just put that out there. I studied finance and accounting initially in college. I got to tax accounting and I was like, I really don't like this stuff. Part of it was a professor. It was very Socratic, discussion kind of approach to the class, which makes sense. You have to be able to interpret tax law, and I just didn't really like it, right? But for someone like friends who I've known that have taken, the CPA exam, they study for weeks and
Hmm.
months and they may not pass it on their first try either. And I
Yeah.
heard from them that it's getting more and more difficult,
Ew.
and it's just, there are a lot of concepts in accounting and finance, and I don't know.
So,
It could, you never know. Like if they can automate like ledgers and reports, I mean,
and
maybe my job won't be around in 20 or 30 years, or who knows. There are some dangers to AI probably
yeah,
too,
and,
but
and we're coming from this from like we're already in our careers, so we're coming from the corporate angle of
mhm.
this. What are your thoughts about in school, in college, having it write your papers?
Yeah, yikes.
You
I
guys ran out of
mean,
coffee.
I thought we had it pretty easy. Um I mean, with certain things, you know what I mean? Like certain, I don't want to like call some of the professors I had lazy per se, but some of them would not write their own exams and tests and stuff. And you could literally like
Find the old
find the
ones.
answer key to like the book, you know what I mean? But there are other things, like kids have always had, access to, well, not always, but within the last, whatever couple of
Decade.
decades,
Yeah.
you can look up a lot of things. But now that a whole system can write it, I don't know what are
Well,
the checks and balances, like,
correct.
because from what I remember in college too, like when you would submit a paper, it would put it through some kind of system that would check for plagiarism,
Mm-hmm.
etc. Or they would make sure that you sourced your site, or
Cited
cited your
your
sources
sources.
properly. I can't
Yeah.
talk.
I mean, I
But
definitely think it will throw another curveball for teachers and professors. But as you said,
yeah.
I had a professor show me how it worked when I submitted an essay. They do upload it to this thing, and it showed me that my paper was, I think it said it was 16% plagiarized.
But
But they
yeah,
said, of course, every paper has a percentage
it
because,
has to, right?
well,
I mean, you can't just make up a topic on your own and
and it didn't say like it showed in the paper where I was plagiarizing, and it highlighted the title because all of our titles are the same because that
oh,
was what you had to title it. And so that was that, like, and then so the professor still had to go in because everyone's paper will show up a certain percent plagiarized because you're covering the same topic. So it'll show a little bit of overlap. So I don't know. I think maybe you could put the papers into an AI system and say, like, is this, scan this for it? And maybe
oh,
that's how you combat AI with more AI.
who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
I don't know. I think
I,
people have to embrace it because it's happening.
Another thought of mine too, obviously, like I said, we like that it's going to make our lives easier, right? But if you start making things too easy, life could become really hard. Like if you're like as a student, let's back up to that example of having it write your paper, right? Like what amount of thought did the student actually put into knowing and understanding the topic? If they're just going to go through schooling and let AI do everything for them, are they really learning anything?
But maybe it's time for us to restructure how we teach. Like maybe writing essays and doesn't show you if you know it. I mean, writing an essay is just, I don't know, it's just showing you that you can write an essay. But maybe we need to have group discussions and you're graded on your participation in the, I don't know, like is the essay the end all be all to show your how well you're understanding the topics?
I don't know. Well,
And
yeah,
but my
it's
hope
yeah.
is, you're worried that it will create more work for ourselves, but we're already, I mean, we're getting way out there right now, but we're talking about how in the corporate life that this is not the way we're heading. People are getting burnout, and back in the day when we were hunter gatherers, people would only spend a certain amount of time hunting and farming, but a majority of the time was spent doing whatever they wanted. I mean,
Well,
to
yeah.
an extent, I
They
know.
spent a lot of time, I'm sure,
Well, a lot
just
was survival, but
yeah,
what if we
survival.
get to the point that this does take off a lot of burden and we're able to not have these insane work lives anymore where we're working
Mhm.
40 hours minimum. Some of us are working a lot more
That would be
and still not making a living wage. So what if this, I don't know, I'm down for a shakeup of the system. I don't think what we have right now is working to what we want it to be.
yeah,
And I think something needs to change. So I don't
yeah.
know if AI is what's gonna really change
It's
everything,
gonna change everything for
but I
sure,
don't know
but
if it'll change the corporate world. Well, it
I
might. I don't know.
eventually I think the world, I mean, historically look back, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, like things have progressed a lot, you know what I mean? Just with the internet and the capabilities and just
Yeah,
having information on demand. This is definitely the next disruptor,
yeah,
for sure. But
yeah. It's
I don't know. I
crazy.
think it's a slippery slope. Like, yes, that would be so amazing for it to be used as more of a job aid. I think is kind of
Mm-hmm.
what you're going for, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want
but
it to replace, but and I don't think it's at that point where it could
yeah,
replace jobs. I think people still, because like back to the Photoshop where I was using it. Yes, so how it works is you highlight an area and you say it brings up a little search engine and you type in what you want it to do and then it brings up three options. There's been plenty of times that I've done it and the three options are horrible. So I don't think it will, at this point it's not replacing anyone. It's just like giving you an aid rather that something that would take 3 hours to crop someone out of a photo and make it look good now took
true.
5 minutes
Yeah.
if it works.
So
So
it totally depends on the industry, I guess. What I mean, I think it'll be great. Like I mentioned, with like health and any kind of scientific research. I think that would be very beneficial for humanity.
yeah.
But it
Well,
just depends on how far people want to take it.
yeah. Well, and even
But
something in the past 5 years that really changed how my job worked as a reporter, something that they taught us was after you do your interview, you need to transcribe your entire interview. Some people do. I never did. I would transcribe the quotes that I knew I was going to use. Now there's Adobe Premiere and even Zoom transcribes
yeah,
automatically. Of course, it misses a word or here and there, but that,
yeah.
and then even adding subtitles on stuff. People
But
used
if
to
you
have
just
to type out a subtitle, like closed captioning. Now you just copy and paste it, and it's probably 90% accurate.
yeah, you do that, you proof it, you make a couple of corrections, and you've saved yourself how long? How
Yeah.
much time? Yeah.
Oh, well, and there was one that we were making a video, and we wanted half of it to be in English and half of it to be in Spanish. And the people working on the video, we aren't fluent in Spanish, but we were able to, it automatically transcribed it. And then we ran it through um, the translator, and then we were able to flip the script from English to Spanish, and then we did have a translator look at it, and they were
Yeah.
like, this is pretty close. They changed a couple words here and there. I'm like, that is crazy.
Were they kind of shook?
Yeah, we all were,
Yeah.
because I was like, okay, that's probably gonna be like, we're gonna have to redo a lot.
Because there's a lot of like dialect.
Yeah.
You know, like languages don't translate 100%, you know, as
Yeah,
most people
and
know.
I, in my job now, I have to do a lot of translations, and I took 4 years of Spanish, but I'm not the best. I'm not fluent, and
You
so
took an extra year than me. I didn't know that. I only took 3 years of Spanish.
I took 2 in high school and then 2 in college.
Oh, that's right. I did know
It-
that.
and by the
Yeah.
end of college, I was I was able to do an argument in Spanish in like an essay format. Where that went, I have no idea. I wish I could have kept that, but
Yeah.
and so I've been nervous when I run these translations, and every time I send it to our translator, they're like, "This was pretty good." I mean, yeah, there's some changes, but I don't know. AI has
Is it-
really been helpful.
Yeah, that's wild. Just, yeah, everything is changing rapidly for sure. I think back to, like, I could see my dad, like, if he could see things even now, he would be crapping his pants. Like, we loved watching the X-Files growing up. Used to scare me, you know, when I was a kid, like the original run, but, you know, I got a little older. We went to the movies, and then they re-released, like, they had a couple of like newer seasons within like the last like 5 or 10 years, and my dad and I watched it over here. They were like really short, you know, seasons, but there was this one episode where like Scully and Mulder are the two, you know, main characters, and they were out to eat at like a sushi restaurant, but it was like completely run by robots. And like the whole episode just was centered around like them ordering and talking, and then everything goes haywire. Like the robots were like trying to get them to pay, you know what I mean, for it, and like it wasn't accepting their payment, I think. I could be wrong, it's been a while since I've seen it, but like they were trying to like kill them, you know, or
Yeah.
K-word, I don't know, I might have to edit that out.
Yeah.
It was obviously fictional, but
Yeah.
you think about it, like people have like everything now, like is connected in some way, like digital, like you can thermostats, garage doors, you've got speakers in every room, you know, that's willing to tell you things about the weather,
Yeah.
do things for you. You can tell it to turn on lights, you know, if you've got stuff connected, and it just it is insane. Like, and obviously this is like a conspiracy fantasy or whatever you want to call it, but can you imagine like if AI got to a point where it was like sentient,
I think
and
someone
like
has
it
warned
could
that
totally like it could do, yeah, probably Stephen Hawking, right?
Yeah. Well,
But from what I-
well, even
yeah.
recently, like the people at Google or something, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
there
I
has
know,
been.
and there is the worry because so much of our houses are connected, like they could
To the
shut off
net,
our
yeah.
thermostats, and well, we even had a situation here in Kansas. It was 2 years ago. It was you know, that really deep freeze that happened in Texas.
We had a cold snap,
Yeah,
that
and it
was
hit the
from Texas
Midwest.
clear up, yeah.
and all of Kansas is on the power grid, and
No, we're on our own power grid, I thought. I think Texas was its own issue.
Oh, Texas-
We had our own
separate-
strain,
yeah.
but yeah.
So the
They got
Midwest
hit.
was on a power grid, and they were pulling the energy from certain states to help other states. And some people that had signed up for this service with their energy provider, they got a discounted rate if the energy provider could control their thermostat to a degree, and they had never really had to implement it. But during this power outage, they didn't like shut people's power outage.
Yeah, they did.
Or they
They were
did?
doing systematic power shutoffs for lower income areas. From what I remember, there was a lot of outrage.
Yeah,
from
it
what
was
I remember,
crazy.
but yeah,
Yeah, so there is
it
that.
wasn't like big long.
They did
I
it for
think
like
it was
15
just
minutes or
hour, like
like an hour
or
at a
two.
time.
and they're trying to do it like when people would be at work, like throughout the week. But
yeah, or the warmest part of the day, you know. But yeah, it wasn't like as sinister, hopefully, as it appeared. But there is that thought that, you know, like now that our stuff is all hooked up, something could take it over and then we don't have any power to our house.
There's just so much, like, the world is so much more complex these days, you know? Like, I
Yeah.
can see why people kind of have, like, thoughts on, you know, missing simpler days. But
Yeah,
also, it's really cool. We have really great lives these days,
for
too.
sure.
For sure.
And
but-
so, as you probably saw from the title of this, we thought it would be interesting while we were on the topic of it taking over our jobs. Let's see if it could take over the podcast for
yeah.
us. So, we wanted to see if it could just write us a whole episode and take it over. And I want to say we might do another rendition of this later because Apple is going to do an update where it can take you record like 250 lines and then it could auto generate your voice. So
Cool.
I'm saying let it take the reins, let it like have our own voices do that, you know.
Ooh, that could
So,
be dangerous.
I
So
know.
it could be like saying some crazy stuff.
But it
you
could
know?
happen anyway right now. Like someone could do that with our voices now. So let's embrace it. We're coining that. We are the originators. But yeah, so this is the AI Writes Our Podcast Challenge. So I haven't seen anyone else do this. So let's see.
Yeah.
So Graham, what did you ask it?
Yes, so I have the Chat GPT app. You can get it on your iPhone.
Did I
I'm
kept
assuming.
saying GTP? GPT?
Is it GPT, right?
I don't know what it is. I messed it up every time.
Oh no, let me look it up now. I think it's GPT.
I think it is too.
Let's look it up. Yeah, it's
Okay.
Chat GP. Graham Peter Thomas.
Okay. So what did you ask it?
Okay, so let me go back to the app. So I opened the app and said, "Can you write us a 15-minute script for our podcast?" And it actually, like, it looks kind of like it's formatted and everything, kind of like a TV script, I would assume.
Yeah,
like
can
it's
you screenshot
yeah.
screenshot it?
Absolutely.
So I'll add that on the screen. Now, you did ask it a couple questions before, so it does understand that we have a gay podcast,
Yes,
correct?
that's true. So earlier, before I asked it to write the script, I did say, "What should we talk about on our gay podcast today?" And it gave us like a list of like 5 different topics too. So
Yeah.
so we've kind of I think we've learned.
Yeah.
for sure.
So we want to just kind of read what it said, and we'll just let ChatGPT take the reins. So do we want me to be the host, or you to be the first one, or me?
Go ahead. Do we want to go to our? So we want to scroll down to the chat, right? Not the topics.
Correct. I want the like it.
So it even tells you introduction music.
Yeah. So Graham said, "Can you
Again,
write us?"
the music man. It knows.
Yeah.
It's coming for all of us.
So Graham said, "Can you write us a 15-minute script for our podcast?" And it said, "Certainly. Here's a 15-minute script for you."
You can be host 1. I'll be host 2.
Okay. So introduction music. Welcome to. Should we change it? Yeah. Okay.
I say go for it.
Change
I think
it to ours or
no. Let's
Okay.
just read it
Okay.
verbatim.
Host 1. Welcome to The Queer Perspective, the podcast where we celebrate and explore all things LGBTQ+. I'm your host, Dan, and joining me is my co-host, Graham. How are you doing today, Graham? That's literally how we introduce ours.
That's creepy, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm doing fabulous. Host 1's name, Dan. Excited to dive into another episode with you. So what's our topic for today?
I'm glad you asked. Today, we're going to talk about queer representation in popular culture and its impact on society. It's a topic that has gained significant attention in recent years. Representation matters, so let's dive into it. Then it says, Segment 1, LGBTQ plus representation in film and TV.
Wow. All right, absolutely. Let's start with LGBTQ plus representation in film and TV. We've come a long way, but there's still progress to be made. Remember when queer characters were often relegated to harmful stereotypes? Guys, guys and gals, we literally just talked about this on our own accord in the last episode.
So watch our last episode. Okay. Definitely, but things are changing. Today we have shows like Pose, which we love, and Schitt's Creek, and that not only feature LGBTQ plus characters, but also showcase their stories in depth and authenticity. which I agree.
Yeah, that's true. Positive representation helps normalize LGBTQ plus identities and fosters empathy. It also offers role models for queer individuals, especially young people who may be struggling with their own identities. And just to kind of cut into that, that's kind of what we're trying to do. We want to for our new viewers, we're trying to just show like what it's like for us, in our own life too, and what life could be for young people if they want it to. You don't have to live up to a stereotype,
For sure. And I think,
we're just a
when
couple
we were
of normal dudes who happen to be gay or
yeah.
bi, and we've chosen to live kind of more of a normal lifestyle. But,
yeah. So our hope is, people out there watching could feel relatable in some sort. Sorry, I'm just checking. I can see the reflection of the screen. Yeah, let me just check, make sure we're still recording.
My thing is ending with segment 2, the power of queer storytelling.
Okay, so segment 2. Absolutely. And speaking of stories, let's explore the power of queer storytelling. From literature to podcasts, queer narratives have the ability to touch hearts and inspire change.
And let's not forget the importance of intersectionality in storytelling. Queer people come from various backgrounds and experiences, and it's vital to embrace those intersections and recognize the unique challenges faced by queer individuals of different races, ethnicities, and gender identities.
And then it goes straight to... Oh, you skipped when you read my part. But now we're going to segment 3, and then next is conclusion. So you got segment 3.
Okay. Sorry, guys. No, I can't start it.
Why?
We need to back up because it says that's a great point.
You just read that part.
No, I didn't.
Oh, we're struggling, guys.
Let's back
And let's
it up.
not forget the importance of intersectionality in storytelling. You just read that part. Queer people come, and then so you're host 2.
Oh, I read host 1.
Guys,
my bad.
Come on.
Must have.
So read part 2 or host 2.
Okay, so I'm responding to myself at this
fine,
point.
because you messed it all up.
I just made a great point. That's a great point to me. Activism plays a significant role in advancing LGBTQ plus representation. Throughout history, activists have fought for equal rights, paving the way for better representation today. I'm going to scroll up so you're at the very top now.
Oops. Absolutely. It's important to highlight the milestones achieved and the ongoing challenges we face. By discussing LGBTQ plus activism, we can inspire listeners to get involved and create positive change in their communities.
Can you scroll, please, when you're done?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Diva.
Yes. And let's not forget the responsibility of allies in the fight for representation. Allies play a crucial role in supporting and amplifying queer voices. Inclusive representation benefits everyone. And this is conclusion.
So this is the conclusion of the AI podcast. Now that's all the time we have for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed our discussion on queer representation in popular culture. Remember, representation matters, and we all have a role to play in creating a more inclusive world.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us on The Queer Perspective. We'll be back next week with another exciting episode. Stay proud, stay fierce, and keep celebrating the beautiful rainbow that is our LGBTQ plus community. Outro music.
That is crazy, honestly. Yeah. So it kind of skimmed over everything that we wanted to accomplish with this podcast. I think the thing it's missing is the actual stories that the people have.
Yeah.
But that's a good starting point. So I think anyone in the creative field, I think AI could be your ally in this. Like, get some brainstorming down and then use that to kind of jump off of. Excuse me.
Absolutely.
I think it did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It could have, we could probably ask it to expand on the topics.
Let's ask its thoughts on gay rights.
Okay, yeah.
Put ChatGPT out there.
Yeah. Oops. Hang on 1 second.
Yeah, but I think I think it's cool.
Okay, I'm saying, what are your thoughts on gay rights? Or should I ask it if it supports gay rights?
Just what are its
We'll
thoughts?
do it, yeah. Ooh, this is kind of interesting.
Whoa.
So it starts off.
Oh, it's got a
still
lot.
going. Okay, I think it's done telling us now. It starts off by saying, as an AI language model, I don't have personal thoughts, feelings, or opinions. However, I can provide you with information and discuss various perspectives on the topic of gay rights. So it tells, it went on to explain what gay rights are, It talks about supporters, opponents, societal attitudes. Like, it's pretty interesting. So I'm thinking we should switch it up. Let's go to my AI on Snapchat.
Okay.
And because it's a little bit different.
It is. I tried to ask my Snapchat AI to do the same thing about write us a podcast, and it said it couldn't. So, it gave me ideas, but it wouldn't write a whole script like we had asked the ChatGPT. So what are you asking it?
I'm asking, do you support gay rights?
Is Snapchat an ally?
Yeah. Let's see. I cannot stand typing with one hand.
Well, hurry.
I believe that everyone deserves equal rights and respect, regardless of their sexual orientation. A rainbow emoji. Thank you.
Way to go,
Thank
Snapchat.
you.
You're an ally.
So, funny enough, this is kind of the generational divide between you and me. Barely. We used AIM a lot, and there used to be this bot you could talk to called Smarter Child. I think it was SMRTER Child or something, maybe shortened, maybe not. I could be remembering that wrong, but the AI feature with Snapchat
kind of like
feels very much like version 10,
Cute,
Smarter Child from AIM circa, 2003, 2004.
Well, do you know what we used? Ask Jeeves.
Oh, I used to ask Jeeves too. We used a lot. Dogpile was a big one, and it had like a little dog.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it was just another.
For all you Gen Zers out there, Ask Jeeves is kind of like Google, but you could ask it questions like, who was the first person to land on the moon? And rather than just linking to stuff, it would be like, oh, blah, 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 blah,
Oh, you used it like that?
I think you can.
It was kind of like Google from what I remember.
Yeah, but I thought it was more of an AI too.
I think they were all competing because the internet was just kind of booming. I remember when all these little different search, engine. It was a search engine.
Yeah,
from what
for
I
sure.
remember. But
okay,
yeah,
awesome.
It's crazy.
Well, I think that might do it for our AI episode.
You don't want to ask it anything else in either of them?
I don't know.
Should I? I'm sending a little heart emoji.
I tried to ask it to
Here, I'll take a screenshot.
give me a haircut a haircut idea, and it wouldn't do all that. But I think that might do it. That was really interesting.
AI is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let us know. Do you use AI? Are you afraid
scared?
of it?
Yeah.
How do you utilize it? Do you think it'll
Do you
help
even?
us?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Where do you think it's going? Like in the next 5 years?
Do you want us to do another AI episode or anything more with that? But we appreciate all the support. I'm feeling really reinvigorated. Yeah, we hit 100 subscribers. This was a really fun episode.
Thank you. Yeah.
So please subscribe, like, and just let us know your thoughts about AI, and we will see you next week.
Yep.